In southeastern Zimbabwe, where the sun scorches the earth and time moves to the rhythm of ancestral drums, lies Masvingo, a city where history, legend, and the living landscape converge. This is the land of stone and spirit, home to one of the greatest architectural achievements of pre-colonial Africa, the Great Zimbabwe. Built between the 11th and 15th centuries, these iconic stone walls, assembled without mortar, whisper tales of a powerful Shona kingdom that once controlled vast trade networks across the continent. At its height, Great Zimbabwe was a vibrant city of gold and culture, housing up to 20,000 people. Its very name, Zimbabwe, derived from Zimbaza Mabwe, meaning houses of stone, would later inspire a nation. Whilst serving as a political and trade center, Great Zimbabwe was also a powerful spiritual and cultural heartland. Beyond its granite walls lay a deeper legacy, a harmony between people, nature, and spirit. The people of Great Zimbabwe drew on the healing power of their land, using roots and leaves to cure illness and restore balance. Plants like the aloe vera, paperbark tree, and acacia formed part of an enduring tradition of herbal medicine that continues among the Shona and related communities today. Healing then, as now, was more than physical. It was spiritual, guided by ancestors and practiced by diviners and priests. It united the human and spiritual worlds. Archaeological evidence, from figurines to the iconic soapstone birds, reveals that sacred spaces such as the hill complex hosted rituals of healing, cleansing, and renewal. This ancient wisdom has never faded. Passed down through generations, it remains the foundation of Zimbabwe's traditional medicine, a living heritage of healing, spirituality, and respect for nature. Great Zimbabwe's legacy endures, not only in stone, but in spirit. Modern-day Masvingo, the provincial capital, is a city balancing between past and present. Here, the heartbeat of Zimbabwe's cultural legacy continues to echo. Life here is modest but proud, rooted in tradition, yet reaching for tomorrow. For generations, the people of Masvingo turned to traditional healers, the Nangas and Masvikiro, who drew their strength from ancestral spirits and the earth itself. Trusting remedies were crafted from roots, leaves, and faith, guided by the belief that illness was not only of the body but also of the soul. But as the world changed, so did Masvingo. With the coming of colonialism and later independence, modern medicine found its place. Clinics, hospitals, and trained doctors brought new methods and new hope. Yet, for many, these did not replace the old ways. Here one such custodian of the old ways resides. We set out to track him and share his story. In the quiet expanse of the villages of Masvingo, under the shadow of the great Zimbabwe ruins, and a stone's throw from Lake Mutirikwi or Lake Kyle, one name resonates, which will continue to echo across generations. Jenna, a man of medicine, mystery, and myth. To some, he is a healer. To others, a spiritual gatekeeper. But to all, he is the subject of a legend so extraordinary, it blurs the line between truth and folklore. They say that as a boy, long before he became a custodian of sacred roots, Jenna faced and killed a full-grown leopard with nothing but his bare hands. A tale that defies reason, yet persists with the kind of conviction only a community's collective memory can hold. However, all agree that the man who emerged from that encounter was never truly ordinary again. In a land where the old world meets the new, where ancient beliefs refuse to fade, Jenna's story forces the question, where does the myth end? And where does the man begin? Located in the Gauteng province of South Africa, on the western rural urban fringes of the greater Johannesburg metropolis, Roodepoort is often seen as a place where urban development meets the slow roll of the Magaliesberg Hills. Its name, meaning Red Valley in Afrikaans, comes from the red soil found in the area. Roodepoort began as a farming area and grew rapidly after gold was discovered in the late 1880s. It became a municipality in 1904 and developed into a mining and industrial center. Today, it is a thriving suburban area known for its diverse communities, shopping centers, and natural attractions like the Walter Sisulu Botanical Gardens. But beneath the tar roads and shopping centers lies a quieter rhythm, one kept alive by sangomas and traditional healers whose knowledge stretches back generations. For many locals, especially the elderly and rural migrants who've made Roodepoort home, traditional medicine isn't just a remedy, it's a way of life, one whose rhythm has echoed for centuries. Here we find a woman who hears that rhythm clearly. To some, she's a healer, to others, a prophet, but to all who come here, desperate, broken, in chronic pain, she is something else entirely, a bridge between the living and the ancestors. People think this is just tradition. They think it's old and dying, but her work is as alive as the air we breathe. Her name is Gogo Dumezulu, and she walks between worlds, the world of the living and the world of the ancestors. In Roodepoort's mosaic of cultures and contradictions, traditional medicine remains a quiet act of resistance and a deep source of identity. In the township areas like Dobsonville and parts of Florida, residents cultivate impepo, African wormwood, and wild garlic as they rely on these herbs for traditional healing. Many patients choose to come to Gogo Dumezulu for healing. Her path to becoming a Sangoma began with learning from her grandfather and was completed through the Ukutasa initiation. Ukutasa is a traditional Southern African spiritual initiation, a sacred process through which a person is called by the ancestors to become a healer. Known as a Sangoma, it is both a spiritual awakening and a demanding rite of passage. It is seen as ancestral alignment, a way for the spirits of the ancestors to continue guiding and healing through a living person. The word Ukutasa comes from the Nguni languages and can loosely be translated as to emerge or to be reborn. It signifies a transformation, both spiritual and social, in which the initiate answers a spiritual calling, usually from the ancestors. It is a sacred calling, not a career choice, with the Sangoma becoming a bridge between the spiritual and physical realms. It begins with a calling from the ancestors, through dreams, visions, or mysterious illness, a sign that someone has been chosen to heal and guide others. These experiences signal that the person, known as the Itwaza, has been chosen to serve as a bridge between the physical and ancestral worlds. Under the guidance of a mentor, a Gobela, the Itwasa learns sacred rituals, herbal medicine, songs, and how to communicate with the spirit world. The process is not easy. It demands discipline, cleansing, and transformation of body and soul. When the ancestors and teachers are satisfied, a final ceremony, Ukupotula, is held, marking the rebirth of the healer. The essence of Ukutwasa is therefore more than initiation. It is a profound transformation, a journey of surrender, learning, and becoming one with ancestral purpose. In modern-day Bulawayo, a university lecturer, Milton Webb Ndlovu lives a life balanced between academia and ancestral calling. By day, he teaches banking and investment strategies in contemporary society. By night, he serves as a Sangoma, a healer guided by generations of spiritual tradition. His journey began in childhood. With vivid dreams and signs he tried to ignore while pursuing formal education. Eventually, he accepted his calling, embracing both modern scholarship and traditional healing. In his world, academic books sit beside herbs and ancestral tools, symbolizing the harmony he has created between two knowledge systems. Webb challenges assumptions about identity and spirituality, showing that a man can be both a modern educator and a respected healer, bridging the past and present in a rapidly changing world.
I wasn't born of a family that was practicing that, but when you grow up, you start seeing, a lot of, I can't say funny things, but your things will be going right, Like you try to do something, you fail, then, or you get some weird dreams and you see the things happening the following morning. Then you also wonder what exactly is happening. And And what's very interesting is that somebody in the family will be knowing that you've got those powers. What happens is you are born, the spirits choose you to ride on. Nobody explains to you what exactly is supposed to happen, isn't it? But you begin to have those gifts, to see those gifts exhibiting themselves. So what used to happen with me when I was growing up? At a very early, tender age, around 7 years or so, I would just dream like, in a dream, like, have a vision of, say, someone arriving from town. Someone who would have last seen long back. Then when I tell people that so-and-so is going to come today, they'll say, you're mad. Then just from the blue, someone just alights off a bus. And then they say, how did you see that? But I just dreamt it. Or say a conversation, you have it in advance. Then when you are seated, that same conversation comes up again. It's like you're dreaming it. You say, but I saw this thing, I heard this thing before. But how? It just kept me puzzled or confused all the time. Then I grew up at A level. I could almost dream probably the whole exam paper. Just see certain topics coming up and about. Then I would meet them in the exam. And that's when I said, no, I need to prepare for those topics, because each time I see them means they are coming. But let me rewind a bit. My father was fond of betting, a hospital. At the time that was happening in South Africa. So they would get these printouts every morning for, say, the following day. And then he would just take that printout, just put it under the pillow and sleep over it. You would just see him bring some groceries in the food and wine. But I don't think he understood how that whole thing happened. So then I became a teacher. After leaving, I was one of the first, students for this university. In 1991, we enrolled here. So soon after, before I got a formal job, I just joined, Ministry of Education. And then the students gave me a nickname. They called me Jose. But I would know that this year, this topic is coming, so prepare for it. So they end up giving me that nickname, Jose. Jose means, ancestors. At the time, I just couldn't understand anything that was going on, but I knew now I had a gift. Right? And then, for instance, if someone in the family would fall ill, I would see that in advance, and then I would see myself picking up, certain types of herbs, and I would get a vision to want to do about them, which is what exactly happened even just before the advent of COVID. I was shown what I was supposed to do, and no one knew there was COVID, but I had already contracted it before it was announced in the country. But I did exactly what I dreamt, and I mixed all those herbs, the ginger, this and that, but it was fun. So that's how I cleared myself. And a few days later, then COVID was declared. But really, I went through a lot. Anyway, then as I started seeing that gift, then I gained interest in trying to know the uses of different herbs. Now that's when I started going out, acquainting myself with them, certain herbalists, and so on and so on. And then also using that old, experience, because I know both of our grandparents were not practicing anything, but they knew herbs. So combining the old, that old tradition with what I was learning and with the visions, I end up having sort of a rounded, knowledge. That's the history of it. Now, I just mentioned to you that not all herbs will just work out. There are two sides of the story. There are just common ailments which have no witchcraft in them. Those can be treated generally. Anyone can do that as long as they know what to do. Then there are those that have got a deliberate, making, in quotes, behind them. Then they need somebody with powers, because they can be dangerous even to the healer himself or herself. So you categorize it like that.
Webb introduces the concept of witchcraft as another dimension to traditional medicine, where ritual, belief, and superstition intersect. European missionary and colonial influence later challenged and reshaped these practices. A sangoma's work is rooted in restoring harmony. Through casting bones, interpreting visions, and preparing medicinal remedies, they diagnose not only physical ailments, but spiritual imbalance. For countless families, this sangoma remains a source of guidance, protection, and cultural continuity, a trusted figure who stands between the living and the ancestral realm. But in the shadows of this respected tradition lies a very different force. Witchcraft. Known in many cultures as ubutakati, huroi, or boloi, witchcraft refers to the secretive use of spiritual power to harm. It is feared, spoken of quietly, and often blamed for unexplained misfortune or conflict. Where the sangoma aims to heal, the witch is believed to disrupt, using the same spiritual realm, but with destructive intent. Though both practices draw from unseen forces, the line between them is sharply drawn. Sangomas work openly, guided by ancestral approval and bound by ethical codes. Witchcraft, in contrast, represents secrecy, manipulation, and malevolent purpose. Communities turn to healers not only for recovery, but for protection against these darker energies. Together, these traditions reveal a spiritual landscape defined by duality, healing and harm, guidance and danger, light and shadow. It is a world where the sangoma is a guardian, and witchcraft remains the ever-present reminder of how power can be used or misused in the unseen world. The sangoma is a healer and not a witch, an umtakat who is associated with secretive, harmful magic. Although colonial and missionary influences blurred these categories, traditional understanding remains clear. Sangomas counter witchcraft rather than practice it.
I want to start by explaining that when the Creator was creating all the creatures and animals on the earth, He gave them each an individual way of living, what it needs to eat and what sustains its life. And He also knew that there would be diseases that would affect each individual creation that He created, and that each thing He created would need treatment. So, looking at life in general and looking at things traditionally, how you use herbs for healing and not knowing about the Western ways. What I know is that when a person was created, they were given a way of living and herbs that can ensure survival when afflicted by bodily illnesses. Then there was a path that the Creator made that includes visualizing things through eyes that not everyone possesses, one that involves our ancestors and the spirits that assist us, because he would see that when an individual is not being cured, after trying various herbal treatments with limited success, there is a need to try and investigate to determine the root cause. That analysis would be done by our ancestors, what we call spirit mediums. The spirits, that's where they work in determining the root cause of illness. Herbs have always existed that the Creator made that are used to treat each unique individual creature when it is unwell, without touching on the Western ways of treatment which came later on. Such herbs are there. So, the difference is, there are some herbs where if a person is ill, we know that if we take that Zumbani herb, when they are ill with the flu, we just boil it and they drink it. If we take this herb and the person is suffering from this and that condition, then we treat them accordingly. These are the common herbs which are well known. Then there are those types of herbs which must be shown or revealed through dreams because of your illness, where there is no living being who knows what the diagnosis is. That's where the elders come in, who we call the spirits, to assist us and say, no, this does not need all that you are thinking. Instead, go there and take this and that herb and mix them together and help this person. For example, you may bring your unwell child who is not sleeping well during the night and whose illness you don't understand. I will say, my friend, you have brought your unwell child. You don't understand what's going on. Then I will go and look for a place where overhanging leaves sweep the earth whilst being blown by the wind, and the area is well demarcated. Then I will instruct you. Let him go and lick this area, lick that soil and swallow. And repeat this 3 times and swallow. He can then leave after this. You will then see him healed. This is a way of treating a person who has an unknown diagnosis or one not properly understood. The way people lived in the past was like this. When the white man came, they came with their ways of treating people when they are ill. But it was similar to us. The only difference is what they used. I think you understand what I am saying. The Creator created illness and treatments. Both exist, and that's why He put His herbs to treat ailments. So, herbs exist. Then there is what I explained to you, where someone gets unwell and has an illness that no one comprehends. It exists, and then it might happen that you get told, go to that anthill and dig up a collection of earth, bring it and put it in water so that the unwell person can drink the solution. This is not the type of medicine that you can understand from a Western way of treatment. So this was a way that the people lived. When I look at it, I can see that the Creator, with everything that He made, He designed diseases and the treatments that can be used by them. But He also gives treatments that are various, that can be suited to their situations, including us as people. Take for instance baboons. When they're ill, they know how to treat themselves. They know what to do, what herb to dig up and eat, and how then to survive. That's how things are, and how we survive as a people. From a traditional perspective, when one is considered a healer, they treat all conditions. They use everything, but when they use what you would call the spirit, when they use this spirit, that spirit comes, investigates, and assesses, just like Western diagnostic machines or scans assess an individual to confirm a diagnosis where patients do not improve after repeated treatments for ailments. That's where the spirits would come in. In the old days, we had no diagnostic machines. The spirits and the ancestors were the scanning machines. They are the ones that confirm the diagnosis. They are the ones that provided the solutions, diagnosing the condition and the relevant treatment for one's survival. Traditional medicine and things done according to the traditional ways, illness exists. A person may become ill and die, but it works. People get treated and recover and become well again.
For generations, the Sangoma has served as a guide between the living and the ancestral realm. When words are not enough, when the path ahead is clouded, the Sangoma turns to the bones. A powerful tool of divination. Each piece has a voice, a fragment of bone, a shell from the ocean, a coin, a carved symbol. Gogo Dumezulu allows us a rare insight into her world for a patient consultation. We step inside the spiritual realm, into the practice of the Sangoma, where divination or bone casting is used to understand a patient's concerns. To the untrained eye, they are random objects, but to the Sangoma, they are the language of the ancestors. As the bones fall, their pattern reveals messages, not from the Sangoma's mind, but from the spirits themselves. It is not the bones that speak, but those who came before us. Guiding, warning, blessing. Each fall is unique. Each reading, a dialogue between time and destiny. The ancestors may speak of healing, of conflict, of love, or of the need for ritual. The Sangoma listens, interprets, and translates their wisdom into action for the seeker. This is more than fortune-telling. It is a living tradition, a sacred exchange between the physical and the spiritual. A reminder that in Africa, the past is never gone. It walks beside us, whispers to us, and through the bones, it speaks.
Matters of urgency have no shame. You have delayed coming due to embarrassment. They say you have awakened, yet you have seen nothing. There is something that brings you here, that brings you from inside your home, that brings you here to my home. When I look at you, my sister, we will begin with your home, where you come from, and where you were born. Your household stands tall. It is an important household. But today, the household is restored on the inside. Some of you continue in the traditional ways. Some follow the Christian path. When I walk with you, I see that there is a small disturbance in your house. Things go well for a while, and then they are not okay. I need to understand what causes it. I see the elders, the ones who came before, inside your home. These are the ones who bore hardship from the very start. You have realized that matters are deteriorating inside your household. When I walk with you, I see you coming to consult me about the one you share your home with. You are always arguing. In your home, You are always arguing. In your home. You are always arguing. In your home. You are always arguing. In your home.
In southern Africa and in Bulawayo, the path of the Sangoma is carved in spirit, sharpened by sacrifice, and carried through generations. It's a calling that refuses to be silenced, surviving the pull of modern life, thriving in the heartbeat of tradition. Here, healing isn't just practiced, it is lived, it is fought for, it is inherited, and for those chosen by the ancestors, the journey doesn't end when the drums fade, it only grows louder. This is the path of the Sangoma, unyielding, undeniable, unforgettable. The path of the Sangoma is not walked, it is endured. It is a pilgrimage into the deepest chambers of the human spirit, where fear, destiny, and ancestral power collide. Only those who survive the calling emerge reborn, carrying the mark of a world most people never see. And yet, in a rapidly changing world, the Sangoma remains unshaken, standing like a pillar against the storm of forgetting. Their craft is carved from the bones of history, fueled by dreams that refuse to die, and protected by ancestors who watch with unblinking eyes. In southern Africa, the Sangoma does more than heal. They restore balance. They confront darkness. They carry the weight of generations so others may walk free. This is the way of the Sangoma. It is a journey that never truly ends. It only passes to the next one chosen.